This is Miami Beats. 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 This is Miami Beats.
Inferno spazzing on this motherfucker.
How's it going, everybody? It's Man Tomorrow here. I want to thank y'all for like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about the Ramil after stream. This is an interview we had with Lucario. He's a dating coach. And we need to make sure that we break down how things happen in these types of conversations, because you're going to see this every single time. There are two types of conversations that are had online. That are conversations that are had to completion and finding solutions. And then there's conversations to be had that doesn't lead to a conclusion, where the actual conclusive model of the conversation or the questions that are being asked are never answered because they want the show to go on. So you need to understand truly how this works. Today, now, Mr. Lucario, he doesn't answer any direct questions because he DJ Kudos his way through every single conversation that he has. He starts to answer your question, and then he turns around and asks you a question in the middle of his response to the question that you asked. And then the conversations become, well, answer my question. And he just keeps asking you questions and trying to make it look like he answered your question. So what he falls back to is, how do you control women in society? Actually, you're the one with no self-control here, sir. You're the one who is not winning within the dating market. Why? You keep replaying game in an environment where you haven't won anything yet. Because the end point of game is to practice even more game. So rather than answering me, Fantastic's, and Game Changer's question, Tommy jumps on. And Tommy jumps on to run interference for Lucario. That's what happens here. Because the panel is unmoderated. And this is what happens. Every time he jumps on, this shit happens. He's going to run the conversation his way. What's going on, Melanie? And if he cannot run the panel his way, everything that you say, every question you ask him turns into an attack on your character, or how you look, or how much pussy you get, or all these other things that has nothing to do with the conversation at hand. So the actual grounds of the conversation has been changed from Lucario asks legitimate question because you have a product that you're selling on the market. You don't have the ideal situation, but you claim that you're selling something that you're not a part of, which means that your personal life comes into play every time you open your mouth about this product that you're selling. Every time. Because I have a full head of hair. And imagine if I sold a product for hair growth and I didn't have any hair on my head, but I'm selling this product to other people as if I did have this type of hair on my head. See, it wouldn't make any logical sense for me to sell such a product. And that's what this game shit has came to in the actual black space of YouTube. Now, the question that they're actually answering here, it is a question. What's going on, Ramil? Shout out to Ramil. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. I'm pretty sure you are. But you have to understand what's going on here in these conversations. Most of these dudes are lying on their dick, okay? That's what's happening. If you know who Christopher Hitchens is, the Hitchens rules is that which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. And then you have the sociopathic black male perspective that comes in and say, he can sell whatever he wants to because the man's in business. Well, the business doesn't require me being silent to actual asking questions that are legitimate. So what happens is the conversation never gets off the ground because he DJ Kudos his way through the question, starts to answer Then he fall back to, well, how do you control women? Well, guess what? If you let a woman be able to have as much men as she wants to and claim that you're married to her and you're a dating coach, don't you see how all that stuff doesn't comport together? So he tries to take that off the table and try to get you to pay attention to all this stuff that he's selling and all these mythical results. You can literally win any conversation if you can just run the clock out. Literally, that's what he did. You have a person that run interference, in this case it was Tommy, talking about every other thing rather than what the actual question was about. And all of a sudden it became personal attacks on us not liking the fact or that we're mad. No, we're asking legitimate questions. Because when you sell a product, you have to understand what's being talked about here, not change the grounds of the argument to make sure that we can't question the legitimacy of of the question that we're asking. So now the characterizations of our questions is not based on logic and reason. It's based on the fact because we don't get pussy, or we don't do this, or we don't get women within the environment. And guess what? You ought to be proud not to have experience within this environment, especially the way things are going right now. Giving women exactly what they want haven't helped them. That's what the Black Manosphere has done for women. Giving them exactly what they want and claiming victory. Let's say that I'm a bank. And my job as a bank is to make the most amount of profit imaginable on loans that I give. Let's say that I have somebody come into my bank. They have a 350 credit score. Yes, you can have a credit score that low if you work hard at it, especially in the wrong direction. So this person doesn't have a good payment history. This person is pretty much damaged. They got a bankruptcy on them. They got repossessed cars on them. All this kind of stuff that would bring your credit score down. Not a good payment history, defaulted student loans, all this type of stuff, right? If I was the bank or the credit card company who would turn around and claim that I gamed this individual out of what they had by giving them a 0% interest loan and gave them a credit line of $300,000, how exactly did I win as the bank? This person does not have the track record to which they should be trusted to deal with stuff like that, because that's what credit is. Credit is trust. Can they trust you to pay this stuff back? So when you claim that you have game on the market, which is nothing but lying about your perceived results in the same marketplace where celebrities are getting turned down publicly on social media. But you as a guy who's a dating coach is somehow selling better results than actual people with money. And then what some of these people do, I'm not saying that Lucario does this, but they try to take productivity and money off the table and try to replace it with mouthpiece and game. So that way you have this kind of graded on a curve scale where these people, because it's nothing but an advanced way of dirty macking, they throw other men under the bus to make the thing that they're actually good at and the thing that they're actually selling more legitimate. That's the problem here. If your product actually worked, then you would need to show actual proof that it worked. Otherwise, you would be attempting to show an infield and you can't talk to women while you passing them up. We seen that last week. Or it actually turns into you claim that you got this lifestyle when you clearly doesn't, thanks to the proof in pictures, which we seen a couple weeks even before that. The problem is that most people want to benefit. That's what people want to do. They want to benefit. I understand it. Trust me, I do. But when someone is being asked legitimate questions about a product, and the person is not answering the questions, by the way, that's when you know that it's nonsense. Every discipline, no matter what it is, okay, you have the Olympics. The Olympics is a very good representation of this. The Olympics, no matter what the sport is, people from different countries go try out the discipline, train in the discipline, and then they display the discipline in an actual competition against other people within the same environment that they're going against. So if you claim to be a gold medalist at this, but you've never really demonstrated anything that you've actually done, you're actually are hyping up your would-be credibility. And I think dudes who are married have the least amount of game, by the way. The least. Because they never go after a better product with game. They go after a lesser product over and over again with game. They don't take game to a specific type of environment where they can get off the marketplace. And then they try to say, well, do you like sex? Oh, I like sex a lot. So now the conversation has been changed from a quality perspective. And now it's actually being turned into a do you like sex perspective. As you can see, they just changed the grounds of the argument. If you're not telling the truth, then you cannot answer a direct question. This is why, if you've ever been, if you've been trained in law enforcement, you're taught how to interview people. And you know when somebody is lying or when they're actually hiding something. Because they cannot answer direct questions. Cannot answer direct questions. But because the questions wasn't that hard. With the actual background of what you have, you can't connect it to the fact that you are a dating coach. He wants to actually separate the two, his personal life from what he's actually teaching people. That is not how that works. The whole track record comes into play. Yeah, and this is why I don't fall into WABT thinking or WABD thinking. When I can simply just move on to a better market. You see, I have the same information that they have. I just decided to use the information in a better way. Because my actual point is to not keep going around within a sexual place until I lose everything. Because you have to realize, in this sexual marketplace, it's like a casino. At some point, you're going to run out of money in that casino. And those 3-2 beers and those flat-ass pina coladas are going to stop making the rounds to your actual destination at the slot machine or the poker table if you're not playing the game. So you have to claim what is the actual what is the end point of game if you have to keep reapplying it every single time? What's the actual point of it? Because guys just want to get laid. Yes, and they turn around and use it on the very lowest quality people that they possibly can. Most of these dudes got starter bitches pregnant. They did. Most of their wives don't even look like average at best at all. So what they teach you to do is they teach you how to feed yourself into a person that doesn't care about your overall outcome and ability. And then claim success because you got sex out of a person. Being called up at 2 a.m. and being a flesh dildo for a woman and then kicked out of her house, that is a success, man. That's you being the bitch. Yeah. Because you're doing all the approaching. She's not doing the approaching. You're letting her know that she get to run the environment because you're going to do things in a specific type of way that's going to signal to her that she's going to keep running things in the environment. And then you're going to claim that you're more man and masculine, and you try to take productivity and resources off the table so you can brag about engaging in this type of stuff? This is what I'm saying. This doesn't make any sense. And this is why legitimate business people stay away from people who don't have tangible outcomes in business. Because business is about tangible outcomes in a very specific and secure product. If you team up with people who's not able to give tangible outcomes and specific yes, no answers to questions, then you're being set up for failure. I know, I've teamed up with a lot of these people. I know how this stuff works. But if you have a product to sell attached to the image that you're trying to put forward, because this isn't actual reality, it's the image of this. Because actual people who have experience with women don't go around acting like this. Don't go around trying to dirty Mac and throw other men under the bus to try to let inexperienced men know that he's bigger than where he are inside of the same environment to which he's operating. That's what's happening. He's pretty much dirty macking his way through it. And this is why I say the concept is fraudulent, because they're attempting to correct a system, which is actually men being raised in households where they're not being taught how to be men. And then they try to help people get to the, get to the sex as quickly as possible. And then they step back and they're not responsible for what happens once they get to the sex. It's an orchestrated car crash. Now, there's a reason for people to lie about game. Most of these people who lie about game are suffering the greatest amount of consequences for the woman that they are attached to. So in order to fake like everything's normal, they try to say that everything's fine. Oh yeah, I get them all. Okay, if you can get them all, how come you can't get yourself in a better situation with your actual game? Why do you have to go after women that you keep having to go after over and over again with game? You can't use game to get out of a marketplace. You can only use game to get into a marketplace. Yeah, it's a hedge maze. And especially when you don't have to answer any direct questions about your actual product itself, and you want to take your personal life off the table and then try to have the conversation as if that stuff isn't real. That's a problem. It truly is. But see, if you sell a product and you're in business trying to sell the image of something that's working, where you have no clear proof that it does, the claims get bigger and bigger. And then you get child support dudes claiming that they got game. You got dudes legitimately who on straight child support claiming that they got game. What's going on, bro? True. Legitimate child support dudes with game now. Dudes who are paying out of pocket on the monthly for a woman that they slept with 5, 10, 15 years ago, calling other people tricks. I asked them, are you a pimp? No. Are you a square? Yes. Why are you selling game? How are you selling game, which is you control the situation, and if she don't act right, she has to go. So now game is let the woman be free inside of the actual environment because you can't control her, and you act like you're winning just so long as you have sexual access to her. Man, that's crazy. You're not winning this game, sir. Because even in Monopoly, there's an endpoint to that game. Hell, Tetris, there's an endpoint to that game too. The blocks stack all the way to the top and the game's over. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Once the hit points go away, the game's over. How does the game get to be over if you're still on the marketplace at the same level of starting point that everybody else is within the same marketplace? How are you winning? How are you winning? The only thing they're trying to do is get you connected to a starting point to where they are. They want as many people as on the field as possible and all the women inside of the environment to keep their legs spread as open as possible. So that way, most of these dudes claim they got game can end up getting laid. That's what it is. It's a long form attempt to sabotage the actual sexual marketplace to the point to where they actually start qualifying for sex that they normally would. This is why they keep trying to tell you that women can't be controlled. They're trying to give them more control over the work environment because that's what the manosphere has done. It's giving women more control over the work environment, not less. Yep. Dude, I know a lot of women, dude. I'm talking about professional women. Who routinely use and abuse these dudes. Yeah, you're right, spiritual whole thing for the $5 super chat. You're right. But see, a lot of people, this is their end goal. They are scamming these young dudes, man. But see, you have the black male sociopath who will walk up and say that no, he gets to sell that product, regardless of anything else, because he's making money off of it. Because I want to make money off of a product like that someday. That's what it is. You got people claiming to be Max. You got people claiming to be gigolos. You got people claiming to be all this shit with no proof. You claiming her, but she ain't claiming you. What's going on here? What is going on here? You have to understand that near sex, around sex, don't equal in sex. It don't equal that. And you can't throw up this, ninja smoke bomb if she don't want to actually reveal her identity. Well, you out here selling the fact that you had access to her. How come we can't talk to her if you got all this skill and ability? It's the people who are suffering the most consequences from women or the dudes who claim that they got the most game. That's it. That's the correlation. Just because you can confidently go into a bad environment and do business doesn't make you better than the environment. And it doesn't make you better than the product in the environment. I tell people all the time, you want your produce and your meat to last longer? Go shopping in a rich area. It's worth the $2 or $3 extra in gas to get your ass over there. And you'll realize the stuff that you get on that side of town Ain't the stuff you get on middle class and lower class areas of town. Because if we know that a woman's body count, the higher it gets, the less quality she's perceived to have, why would you be intentionally socialized on trying to be on the marketplace forever? What kind of sense would that make? To intentionally feed somebody into a product that has a hell of a lot more experience with getting away with the stuff than everything else. So if you don't understand the process of what you're getting into, what the actual end result is, you're going to be forever chasing your tail within this environment. This is why the average at best shit blew up. A lot of these people can't say this shit to their moms, their sisters, most of the women that they meet on a daily basis. And you got most of the game dudes over there. You would think the more game you had, the less you had to act like a bitch ass nigga online. You would think that. But most of these dudes don't even attempt to answer questions like a man online. That's what don't make sense to me. That's what this is. The people who are facing the most consequences are suffering the most from these women. It is. It is totally high school tactics. Could you imagine going into a job interview and trying to game your way through a job interview, even though that you don't know anything about the actual job to which you apply for? You would look just like a person, because if you ever took a public speaking class and you had to go in front of the class and pick a topic out of that hat and you didn't know what the hell you were talking about, how foolish you would look trying to BS your way through a conversation that you know you shouldn't be having. That's what this is. But I know what functional families and functional relationships and functional marketplaces look like. I've lived in countries with actual legalized prostitution. And those marketplaces work a hell of a lot more than places that don't. I care about the male side of the actual equation. I don't give a damn about the woman side of the equation because I'm not a woman. But these dudes give so much pro bono work and so much power to women, and then they try to sell the men into the actual power that they gave the woman. This is nuts. Yeah, King Sigma. Why don't they run game on child support courts? I tell you what, if I had that much game, I'm going to give me a Walmart heiress. Shout out to Jazilla, the beast. That's what I'm going to give me. I'm going to give me a woman with so much quality that I'm not going to have to play this game no more. Because, see, you can't cover up bad decision making by saying that I want a lot of sex within a bad environment. That's how they cover up the tracks of what they're actually talking about here. The woman is getting exactly what she wants. Shout out to her. But the men are not even getting what they want because can't nobody form relationships. Yeah. And this is why I'm for paying for the actual outcome that you want. I want you to have a one-to-one comparison that every time you interact, you get what the hell you go for. In that type of case and situation, there is no free attention. I'm an obtainment type guy. I'm not going to go around and work for nothing. I've already done that. You always have these anecdotal stories about people winning on this, and they try to make it look like that is 51% of the actual cases that go on. Women do that shit. They do it all the time. Whenever they ask a legitimate question, they go to the 0.000000001% time where something happens in this particular case, and then they try to argue from that point of view like this is the majority of things that happen. That's exactly what the game conversation is about. So that's all I'm saying, man. It's like my questions wasn't hard. My questions were direct. But see, I know how this works. I know that someone who's 21 years old isn't going to have a hell of a lot less value when she becomes over 30 in this type of marketplace. You'll be a fool to go out here thinking you can dig down feminism. You'll be a fool to think you can go out here and do this. This is crazy. This doesn't make any sense. And this is why I'm saying dating coaches are simps. They are telling you how to value an outcome that you shouldn't be getting involved in the first place. Under the guise of a dude got to bust a nut, right? Yeah, they're teaching you how to be a simp. They're literally feeding you to the woman. They're literally telling the story of Daniel and escorting these dudes into the lion's cage. And faith is supposed to help them like faith helped Daniel. Now, they don't understand faith is Christian allegory. You take your ass into a lion's cage, you're going to get your ass ate up. Because that's how that works. The lion's going to think, human who abuses me, human walks in here without backup. Human about to get messed up. How do you think social media and the woman with booking material on Instagram pages got this way? Yes, because the man gave them an inordinate amount of power. You have incredibly basic looking women. Incredibly basic. Because see, what's basic here isn't basic everywhere else. And they want to shame you for going to a better environment overall. When there's no shame in dealing with an environment that suits you. Because we know the environment doesn't suit them because they're on the same level playing field that you are on when they teach you how to be a simp. Okay, you're going to go get yourself in the best shape possible. You're going to go get all your stuff together. And then you're going to deal with people who are not socialized to respect that on purpose. Listen, I'm not trying to change any of this stuff. I'm trying to change your overall perspective. You see, you only get this type of perspective after you've lost everything. That's what they want you to do. They want to get you into a marketplace, let you experience the worst of it, and then blame you for playing. I could have never left Mississippi and went down there and bragged like I was making it. I could have easily done that, but I left graduation night to other and better places. What's going on, Masculinity? And you see, these are the type of guys that are against male agency for real. These dudes are really against male agency. You really think these dudes want you moving on to better options? You think these people want you moving on to women with less body counts? You really think these women want you to move on? You really think they want you to move on to a better position that they'll ever see? You really think that they're going to let you do that? Dude, listen, man, they're turning you on to a bad product on purpose. Because there's no standard of victory. Not in this particular situation. And when there's no specific level of victory that you can see before you start, why are you playing in the first place? You really think you won because you got some illicit sex out of somebody in the first night? I dismiss the idea that there's something like that can have any type of power over me making dumbass decisions. I would never go out there and do something like that based on those type of things. Could I? Yes. If you don't have standards, and I'm talking about not looks, I'm talking about situational standards. And see, a lot of people think they can get past the actual bad situation because she looks good. If it's a bad circumstance all the way around that is bad, the best of the worst options are still bad options, sir. I'm going to say it again. The best of the worst options are still bad options. This is why you should travel and get out more. So that way you can be able to compare environments before you actually start to engage in them. I don't know about you, but if you're only being focused on sex and having sex with women, I don't think you're going to have a good decision-making process when it comes to satisfying that need. So these people are intentionally weaponizing your future sexual irresponsibility for money. That's what this is. This isn't hard. This is why they want to see your face, so that way they can change the level of the argument from nonsense to another type of question that has nothing to do with any of these things. But see, you can't get past the logic of it. You see, the great thing is that I'm not compromised by the thought of quick sex in a bad environment. I'm in law enforcement. I was in law enforcement. You think I didn't see how many people got destroyed over access to quick sex? How many times you seen the first 48? One of these dudes thought that they hit it big and ended up getting their ass robbed. But see, they're not even teaching you how to actually go after a quality woman infantry skills. They're trying to teach you how to get like their quality and level of standard is sexual access. That's why every woman's a dime under that paradigm. Every woman's a dime under that paradigm. And this is how they end up trying to sell genetic look as sexual end result. Anybody can coach from a system that they're not actually engaging in. Anybody can do that. It's truly not that hard once you understand the system from beginning to end. I don't have a cultural conditioning that have me set up to think that I got to deal with bad outcomes until I get to good ones. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. Why would I deliberately feed myself into a process that I have not seen victory from? Again, the access to quick sex is nothing but a carrot on a stick, man. They're leading you away from your end goal. Your end goal is to find peace. You're not going to find peace through quick illicit sex within a bad environment that's socialized to give you consequences whenever the person later on decides that you need them, regardless of truth. This message haven't been moderated by the Me Too movement. These people are still selling the same stuff as if the movement never happened. Yeah, that's what it is. It's not difficult. But see, I understand it from beginning to end. I know what's happening here. Because these people who they net into this, these people got self-esteem issues that they're trying to solve with quick access to women. That's what I'm saying. Experienced optimists. How come these guys ain't knocking off all these damn models? So you mean to tell me that you deliberately go into an environment where you can't go out there the richest models in the world, so that way you ain't got to be on the market? And all these dudes try to act like they live the life of like Leonardo DiCaprio and shit. It don't make any sense to me. But somehow I'm the hater for asking legitimate questions. You can't be the hater or considered being a hater by connecting yourself deliberately to a marketplace that's going to damage and destroy the same men that you claim that you want to help. This is why you don't see dating coaches in other cultures where you have strong masculine figures. You can only need to be told how to interact with women when they're not actually women anymore. First, you're not socialized to be a man thanks to family dynamics. And she's not socialized to be a woman because there's no consequences for her inside the environment. So this guy is going to orchestrate this car crash between these two people in the middle. They're middlemen. They're middlemen for the feminism. That's what they are. They know this. And who do you think listens to their information? Women. Women are getting advanced knowledge from men on how to get better men. That's what's happening here. The women are getting better options. The man is only simply getting sexual access. How is that going to help you? How is that going to help you long term? Maybe I'm missing something. But see, when you could talk and speak freely and very clearly, there's nothing that I said that's incorrect here. But if you're being interrupted, the grounds of the conversation change, or you're running interference for somebody else on the panel, then you can't have a logical conversation to conclusion. Do you think these people give a damn about delayed gratification? No. They're trying to tell you specifically that you are an incel. You ain't got no game. Therefore, take my game and jump your ass out here in this marketplace and get destroyed by women that they had previous access to. So now this hurt person is going to start hunting men the way the older men hunted her. And since there are no consequences for her, and there's all the consequences for you, who do you think wins in that scenario? You see, sexual gratification don't turn off logic and reason and rationality. If you have an improper end goal, you're going to take improper steps to get to that improper end goal. Russian roulette is fine just long as you don't hear the pop. Once you hear the pop, all the other times you play Russian roulette no longer matters, does it? Once you start being on child support, all that other times you could have paid once for sex and suffered the quote unquote embarrassment of that rather than 18 years annuity payment out of your ass, that's way more embarrassing. And the claim that you start to run women after that, that's even more embarrassing. And to limit yourself to just those people within a very specific marketplace, regardless of how that look, is also embarrassing. So they want to play the trade game of embarrassment and try to put it on the guys who are actually embarrassing on the guys who are not embarrassing. Good access to a bad marketplace don't make you a better person. Limiting yourself to bad products, specifically not dealing with quality, is a personal choice. This is why I say this stuff is wrong. I can tell you this, nobody focused on legacy or generational wealth or any of this stuff is trying to get their son or daughter mixed up in this type of stuff. They're trying to get them off the market as soon as possible so that way they don't have to play this game. But it all starts with, well, you can't control a woman. Yes, you can. You can control her with choice, not dealing with her. That's how you control it. Deliberate choice. Because they don't know any better, King Sigma. That's the issue. They don't know any better. So they come to circumstances trolling and all this kind of sideways smiley face and all this other nonsense. I care about outcomes. Apparently, you can't care about outcomes. Because game have outcomes. It's called the 1970s to 2020 and beyond. That's game. 50 years of game. We got outcomes of game. We got outcomes. You think it's limited to Black people? It isn't. Go to Portsmouth, Ohio. Go to Mansfield, Ohio. Go to Youngstown, Ohio. Go to Indianapolis. You think this stuff doesn't have the long-ranging consequences for everybody in society? Yes. Anybody can sell this. And they're only doing it for female validation, not actual sex. Again, the whole point of this is so that way you could take less shots in a bad environment, not more shots in a bad environment. That makes you look dumb. What is the bragging point if you deliberately go out there and take shots within a bad environment, claiming that you're winning? Go ahead and have that kid. You can't invest in yourself. You can't really go to school. You got to produce right away. You really ain't got no skills. There's consequences to this. That's exactly what it is, masculinity. I could tell people, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Because when the link be dropped, these people don't come up. They don't bother coming up. Because see, brilliance, you have game, which is image, which is smoke and mirrors, and then you have resources, which are tangibles, outcomes that are tangibles. This is why one group of people don't like the other group of people. So when you have Clout to the Chase in the actual live stream, who tried to make it look like game dudes and non-game dudes themselves, both complain about each other. Like, no. One group of people is causing harm to the other group of people within the environment deliberately. They don't have these type of dudes that are in the middle in societies everywhere else. They would just call you a band of thieves. They would dig a hole and they'd get your ass up out of there. That's why it's important to take a side. Because when you take a side, you can move towards a specific result. A specific result that's better than this. You can't be socializing to making bad decisions. That's crazy. This doesn't make any sense. Now you're going to need even more help getting yourself out of the situation that you just got yourself into. Let me tell you how red pill paranoia works. Man, could y'all get the likes up, man? 63, what's going on, man? Let me give y'all 30 seconds to get them likes up, man. Here I am giving you concrete, factual information, and y'all be showing up to the helmet streams, man. It's crazy. But this is where we are. We literally have created an environment where everybody is trying to get the most and the best out of everybody else when they're all past their prime. I don't think men can ever actually be past their productive prime. Yeah. Hey, Morpheus, man, I said the truth. Man, I have escorted so many people to that specific prison that you talk about. Yes, indeed, man. There's a lot of people I escorted to that Mannheim prison within that 3-year time period. A lot of them. No, they can't tell you that either. They only make that the standard of masculinity. They make getting a lot of women in a bad environment good. Okay, you get sexual confirmation, gratification, and then you get kicked out of her life over and over again, and you think you're winning because of that. This is where we are, man. Because if anybody can sell it, then everybody will sell it. If anybody can sell it, then everybody will sell it. That's how that works. And the people who want to illicitly benefit without investment will always take up for it. You better be glad that these people are putting these people on here for you to actually see and look at. And there are people like me who will respond without compromise and just sit back and see exactly what's happening. So that way I can explain this to the other people. This stuff only works on people who are between 20 and 50. The younger generations are already moving on to other people earlier. They do want to determine the worth of masculinity. This is why they wanted to be online alpha males. So the alpha male thing wasn't really based on skills and abilities and outcomes. It was based on how many women that you can get. It's a moving of the goalposts of masculinity by non-masculine people. And if you have a den of wolves who act like this, how you think you could possibly team up with somebody like this on something that's not nonsense based? If your actual masculinity is based on a bad product and continued access to it, how are you going to be able to function in real environments outside of that if you never try to put yourself into better situations and circumstances? Actually, Doug, there's another way that they can die out. They can die out by people having better experiences early. You having better experiences, you putting yourself in better environments, and you use that as an actual barometer of masculine success. That's how you get past it. See, here on this channel, a better you is the product that I'm working towards. So that way you can get off the field and move on with your life. Yes, they do. They want to gaslight anybody who's not following the non-productive model to sexual attraction. That's all they want to do. Because see, they think they missed their shot and their chance to be a productive individual and leave this stuff alone. The fact is, they haven't. They haven't missed anything. Yeah, it's like old school wrestling. How the referee is knocked out and the chair comes in the ring, and all of a sudden, when you pin them to the actual mat, the referee wakes up. 1, 2, 3, and they won the match. Like, whoa, what went on? We're watching this. This stuff is recorded. They're fighting for their subculture to survive, man. They're fighting for their subculture to survive. We're in 2021 talking about game. I'm talking about it in a way so that way you can leave it alone and you can live a tangibles-based outcome. I'm not trying to feed you into a bad system, because that's bad. That's wrong and that's evil. But to some people, that's just business. It's just capitalism. Ravishing Rick Rude, man. I think we got a ravishing Rick Rude within the actual manosphere, man. Well, at least when Ric Flair was an actual champion. He get to act like that. Ravishing Rick Rude was not a champion of anything, but he kept acting like that. Like, that's the difference. Ravishing Rick Rude and Ric Flair. There's two different models. Everything becomes a hustle when you haven't legitimately produced, man. That's when it becomes a hustle. That's when the clock is winding down. That's when you don't have, yeah, of course, Ric Flair was a game dude, but at least he was a damn champion while doing so. No, you seen Ric Flair's women now. Yeah, he sure did, Mike. Dude, King Sigma, man, they never live by code, because they're here to actually devour people who actually do live by code, and that's the problem. Hey, man, if you haven't independently produced, I don't know what to say, man, because this genetic counterpart that you base your whole entire masculinity on, I don't want to be anywhere near that. Because if I got to act like that to attract something like that, there ain't no way I want you around me. No way. Of course he was shifting the goalposts. That's all he could do was DJ Cuda his way through the conversation. Start to answer the question and then turn around and ask you a question without even answering the question. The link is dropped in the chat. If you think I'm wrong, bring your ass up. Let's talk about it. Or you're just a normal individual and you want to talk about it, we could do that too. But game is actually for dudes who don't legitimately want to produce. Dudes who don't want to go into a specific type of field. Put the time in, learn what they actually need to learn, and move on. Having this game type of mindset will destroy your life, man. What is the point of staying in a bad market to prove that you're good at staying in a bad market? The only thing they're trying to do, like I said, is widening the pool of women available so that way they can get some sex themselves. Because right now they don't qualify for it. That's all it is. It's very easy to get. So you mean to tell me hey, man, I built my own shit, man. I don't even worry about any of these broken women trying to help all these dudes who never does shit right, man. I ain't even trying to deal with that shit. I built an entire life without the shit mattering. Thanks for the $4.99, Roosevelt. I want this stuff to be over. How is the standard of masculinity supposed to be access to unfeminine women? What's going on, grown man business? How's that supposed to work? If every man is chasing sexual gratification inside the marketplace through game and not using that creativity to actually get into an actual career field, how does this work? I don't give a damn how good looking it is. It's still a bad environment for you to be engaging in stuff like that. Dude, you ain't got time for that. Man, these dudes want whole phases so bad, man. It's almost there. I could just pretend like I got game and I got a whole phase that I automatically lived. Whole phases don't make you a better motherfucker. Whole phases turn you into a damn hoe. You start thinking like a hoe, defending hoe ass actions. That's what it does. It don't turn you into no masculine man. A masculine, productive dude who thinks about clear outcomes and consequences of actions? Nah, I ain't got time for game, dude. Fuck that. I'd rather go get me something of quality and stay there. You don't take hits on 20, man. You don't take hits on 20. You stay at 20. In 21, you stay at 20. If you got 20 and they got 19, you don't take a hit. You're already ahead, man. Nah, man, you don't take hits on 20, man. But see, you have to realize, tell me how unclear thinking leads to a very clear result. Tell me how it works. You'll never get there. I've seen people for mere female validation. Dude I arrested, got to be now, 20 years ago. Got involved in the situation, ended up hitting a guy in the head. He hit his head on the ground. He had a seizure and died. Why? Trying to show off for a chick that he wasn't dating. That dude spent 25 years in prison over that. Tell me how continued bad decisions add up to a good choice. Tell me, show me the system. Show me the system where you continue to make bad decisions and it add up to be a good choice. Yeah, they're trying to destroy the young brother's ability to be better than them. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Because if a better society forms and they don't run it, they lose. They do have credibility. Machismo. It's called the current level of black outcomes. The current level of black outcomes is their credibility. The current level of white outcomes is their credibility. Do getting a whole bunch of illicit sex out of an environment that's inherently bad lead to good outcomes? That answer is no. I'm not going to sell out my own kind. I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to sell out productive black men so that way I can bend down and start playing this game over here. I'm not going to do that. That's exactly why they're doing it. You ain't got no classes on how to be Elon Musk, but you definitely got classes on how to have game. What's wrong? What's up with that? They want young dudes to fail. What do you think OGs are about? Sitting their ass within the environment, making sure that the young dudes, do all the dirt for them. What do you think that's about? And the reason why dating coaches don't like the pump and dump thing, for the most part, is because they need a level of men to actually value women that they should not be valuing, so that way their product can stay valid. That's the position there. So if they have an endless supply of men being created by families that don't care about the outcome of men, and they get their quote unquote masculinity from those guys, they're just sitting here waiting on those kids to actually get older. So that way they can find a specific outcome to connect them to. That's going to connect them back to the same problem that led to them being here in the first place. Yeah, you're right, Machismo. That's what it is. You see, you can have clear conversations when you have a clear place where you want to go. My place is, I don't want this stuff to exist in any type of form or format. And yes, these conversations need to happen so that way you can see how people justify this stuff in a wide open. So you mean to tell me that you're going to use game to get you continued access to a marketplace that you can easily avoid? Just so that way you can say that you got a lot of sex. Really? Really, really, really? How much sense does that make, man? But it's vitally important that we have these conversations. The vital importance of this conversation is so that way we can have better men going forward. Period. You're going to have to be the scribe, man. Who sees all this stuff? I'd rather not have her respect, man. I'd rather have my resources and not her respect. I'd rather not have that level of respect from that type of person. I'm sorry. I've called it. I've called it early, by the way. I wanted to create an entire world where their opinion didn't matter, and I won. They have to. Because people having better times and being socialized into better products actually dilute their power within the environment here. This is why women don't flag their channels at all. This is sex with no consequences, help a hell of a lot more women take control of the environment, not men take control of the environment. Which is why nobody ever tried to run their actual society like a damn zoo or the National Geographic when there's no typical rules on both sides, or rules on one side and not the other. But this is where we at. Yeah, they never come up, do they? They talk all this grandiose stuff in the chat, but they never come up, do they? They want to make productive men the enemy. They want to make all the men who don't concentrate on or give all their results to women that has never respected them. That's their goal. Their goal is to make sure that masculinity is destroyed. That dudes who believe in tangibles, outcomes, and delayed gratification is destroyed. The earlier they can turn you on to this product that has torn them out the frame, look how they think. Look how they act. They can't even answer simple questions about the stuff that they spent 20 and 30 years doing. Thanks for the cash app, Star Screen. Yeah. And this is what I always tell people, Star Screen, that the woman is a byproduct of success. She's not the point of success. When you start teaching byproducts like end results, you'll never get to the end results. Because it changes, Jamal, from every person who actually tells you about the specific concept. That's why it keeps changing. It keeps having to change. And they're so clear about what they've been doing for such a long time that they can't clearly give you an answer. Jermaine Taylor, they only want to have this one-sided conversation. It's a one-sided conversation meant for a specific group of people. A lot of these dudes have been hurt. And I'm not talking about the dudes who don't have access to sex. I'm talking about the dudes who do. The dudes who can't possibly go a couple of hours without thinking about this type of circumstances to keep grading themselves on. There is an end to this. The end to this is always going to be leaving this stuff alone. The only question for you is when. Are you going to leave this stuff alone after you damage, ruin, and destroy your life? Or are you going to leave this stuff alone when you're quite ahead and you already know what the outcomes are? So if you know what the outcomes are, then this stuff is pretty clear. But if you don't care about what the outcomes are, you just want to get in this marketplace, get in and get out without consequences, that's the specific problem. You got to learn these lessons, man. You got to learn these lessons. Game is smoke and mirror without definition. And trying to feed yourself into a woman's baseline desire in order to validate your masculine self. That's what it's about. There's no simple than that. They have to come out the productive black men. They always have. First, they was calling you dishwashers and all these other things. Now they want to call you incels. Now they want to claim that you don't got no game. Dude, listen. If you're actually winning, why would you need to recruit for your team if you're actually winning? If you're actually winning, there should be some outcomes that we can point to, right? Should be. But no track record, no outcomes, but somehow you out here actively recruiting. While most of the older black men sit here and say not a damn thing about it. That's what I don't like. So, since I don't have any detractors, because the links stay dropped, I want to have a conversation about it to completion. But those people, they're not interested in trying to complete the conversation because completing the conversation would actually destroy their ability to keep rehabbing the conversation over and over again. Same people. Don't want to take a side. Same people. But somehow, access to forgetful people is going to make you better. Maybe little, maybe temporary. Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me drop the link again. Okay, second. Hey, you there? Hey, can you say something?
Hey, what's up, MOT? Can you hear me? MOT, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can't hear you at all, man. I didn't even hear him come into the room. Can you see me? You there? Yeah, I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on a second. I can't hear. All right, I hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now all the way. Yeah, that was on my part.
Okay. Can the audience hear me?
Yeah, they can now. I muted one of the speakers. It turned out it connected to the main speaker.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, I'm good, man. Just got a little workout in, little post-workout meal listening to you. I was reading the chat and brothers was talking about, why can't non-street dudes and street dudes come together? And that question doesn't even make sense to me because you're talking about a culture where street dudes don't even represent street dudes no more. Most of your street dudes in 2021 are snitches.
Yes.
And they are one of the biggest traitors of all groups in history when you look at a lot of the street dudes. Now, what do I mean? Okay, first off, if you look at my father's generation, my father was taken from the streets because back in those days, I'm an 80s baby, so my father got himself killed because he was deep in the game. Yeah. And they had a certain code that you lived and died by. And it don't matter if they liked you or whatever. If things went a certain way, you'll get murked out there. Now, when you look up, 30 years later, the game has really changed on the streets, man. The police pretty much control all of the drug trade. And I say like 90% of that shit is either the government controlling it or the cartels, organized crime, and the mafia, or they're all working together. But when you talk about like the average black man in America trying to get money in the streets off of drugs, he's a pawn. Even when you look at big guys like BMF, Rick Ross and people like that, they'll tell you. Rick Ross got a documentary out there, and he talks about the snitches and how much money he was getting. And he still didn't have the power to get away from the judges, the lawyers, the police, the DEA, and the cartels. And he said he was getting like $1 million. I think he said $1 million a week, not even a month. He was getting like $1 million a week, and he lost all of it. Now he's a guy who just gets invited onto like the Breakfast Club or something like that. And rappers done stole his intellectual property, made millions off his name. But he's broke selling T-shirts. BMF boys. These dudes was getting so much money in Detroit, from Detroit to Atlanta to St. Louis, a year after they had all been convicted because of snitches within their organization. The DEA auctioned off one of their limos, and it was like $1.3 million in cash in a hidden glove compartment a year later. Yeah. Now, you look at all that money that was made by the drug kingpins in the 80s and the 90s, right? We're talking, Nixon started the drug war back in 1971, right?
Yes.
So we're talking, it's been 50 years that the government has been playing this game where they legalized the drug market, which raised the prices, and about $400 million per year is just alone is seized. Now, I'm not talking about that's made. I'm talking about just the amount that the government in their little seizures, like the BMF seizures and things like that, when they get these D-boys, bro, they seize $400 million per year from drug assets, cars, and different things like that. And all of the money goes into secret accounts that go to different government officials, police department budgets. Now, explain this to me, MLT. How are you a big street dude, but your whole labor, the 10, 15 years that these dudes put in the streets getting that money, all your money goes to the same cops, prosecutors, and judges, and some businessmen and law firms off of your labor, and then they send your ass to prison on RICO charges, conspiracy. You doing 10 to 15 years, sometimes more if anyone was killed, while all the prosecutors are living in big mansions off of the money that you earn in the street. And we got dudes talking about, why can't street dudes and non-street dudes come together? What are we talking about here, man?
Yeah, because here's another thing people don't get. Here's what people don't get. Like, let's say that you have a block or whatever. You don't realize that your name, your photograph, your whole background, and all your customers is nothing but a pinprick on the wall.
Yeah.
They can go to a screen, click, okay, who's all this dude's customers? Boom, we just go after this dude. Like, dude, you're not going to be getting away with this stuff for a long time. You're not. Because if your girl don't rat you out, somebody else in your crew will. But it's most likely your girl in most cases. As soon as she get mad, she goes straight to the police.
Oh, yeah.
Same person, right? Are real. And then you see him in court crying it up and playing it on, hamming it up, acting like she's, disappointed that this dude's going to, man, nah. She's glad this dude's going down.
And then she goes find her some dude that's like a banker, So she been running the streets with the D-boys, all up in the clubs, doing this and doing that, taking trips every weekend. But as soon as that D-boy get knocked, homegirl go wash herself out, hit the little church scene. Next thing you know, she walking around like nothing ever even happened. You in prison, you doing 10 years, 15 years or more, and she laid up with some dude that she would have never talked to, and he thinking he got a prize. And one day he runs into one of her old boyfriends at a bar, and she tries to give him the cold shoulder, not knowing that woman was in the game, but she escaped all the punishment, but she got all the rewards. That's been happening for 50 years now, man. But these dudes, they don't learn, man. They don't learn. The fact that we're even having this conversation, allegedly game dudes versus non-game dudes, in 2021, after the drug war has been in effect for 50 years, the Maury Povich show and Jerry Springer been on TV for about 30 years, the child support courts have been raping men for the last 50 years, and it's like it doesn't matter to these dudes. They just don't care. They selling themselves a fantasy, and then it's like, at least I can respect it. I can respect any dude that's a hookup coach, and his method gets him. Because if you're a hookup coach, that means that you're superior to anyone that would be like a student of yours. So your method gotta get you 8, 9s, and 10s consistently. That's someone that I can rock with. You see what I'm saying? I could rock with a cat that his method, this dude is just 8, 9s, and 10s. But how the hell do you got dudes talking about, I'm a hookup guru, and you can look in your fucking black book, you can look in your phone, and the bitches that you getting right now, as just a regular dude with a regular job, are dwarfing these women. It doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense because they're here to sell an image to people who don't know the particulars about the environment. They're preying on people who are not educated on how these things work. And since we have a system that creates a lot of uneducated people, their actual product never goes out of business because it's the system behind the people that they're preying on that we need to actually destroy. But since you can't destroy that system or the family creation process, it's never going to end. What's going on, Game Changer?
Hey, what's going on, MLT? So I just want to say that, can you hear me?
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, I just want to say that street dudes and game dudes, or whatever you want to call them, are not mutually inclusive. They're not the same thing at all. I mean, sometimes it overlaps, but generally speaking, a lot of game dudes masquerade as street dudes or become pseudo street dudes because they feel that that's what will get them women at the time. So I know the two may seem the same, but they're not. Sigma, you said something interesting about a woman sending her dude to jail, or enticing him, seducing him into a lifestyle that will eventually lead him to jail. It reminds me of that scene from The Wire when Cuddy got out of prison for murder, and then he went to look up his girl at the time, and she was a teacher at a middle school and stuff. And, she had the car, she had the husband with the baby seat in the back and everything. So, and then he said, wow, looking at you hurts. And she just walked away and said, it's best to not look then. I was like, damn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's that thing, like you said, it's on TV shows and it's in the movie, because I don't know why these dudes don't understand that these white supremacists they talk about all the time, they know you fools so well. That's why they put it in the movie. They know you so well that they can put it right in your face what the game is and how they're, capturing all of this money from you, all of your freedom. But these dudes just run right back into the grinder.
Yeah, anyway.
Every time.
Right, LB 1717. That's exactly what they're doing. They're preying on just misguided people who don't have a actual tangible result. So they become their new focus. So they make it look like, well, I'm not specifically going out and having anybody coming to me. I'm like, yeah, but having your shit available, you know what you actually are looking for. You're not looking for, you know what your product is designed for. It's not really designed for what they think it's actually designed for.
What good is a game dude or a street dude, especially a street dude? Because again, I'm not a person that's shy about talking about stuff that I've seen on the streets. I'm glad I never had to get into it, but I've never met a dude that was legitimately from the streets that didn't have no money to show for it, no homes, no assets, that went around bragging, 40, 50-year-old dudes talking about I was a street dude. Street dudes would be embarrassed to not be fresh, to not be fly, and not to have their finances just like liquid to the point where when you look at them, you can smell the money on them. It's no one that I've ever met in my life that is more ashamed of being broke than a dude that's really legitimately from the streets who has really touched liquid cash. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not a lot of places where you can touch liquid cash, but dudes that really was in the game that came up, them guys was touching big fucking money, and they ain't gonna be running around talking about I'm a street dude and they're broke. That doesn't even, especially not amongst no dudes that is non-street dude. It doesn't even make any sense. Why are you talking to dudes that are non-street dudes about how much of a street dude you are? Shouldn't you be testing yourself against other street dudes? Like if you were to put Rick Ross on one of these panels, right? He would laugh at these cats, bro. He would laugh at them, sitting up here bragging about something that is just a fantasy.
Trust me, I've been trying to contact him to get him on, man.
Get him on here, man. Get him on here.
I'm not sure what the price is gonna be, but
man, he probably ain't even that much. He probably hit you for like $100 or something for about 30 minutes of talking.
Yo, MOT, if anything, what's going on, everybody? First and foremost.
Hey, what up, Mike?
What's going on, Sigma? Been a minute. But MOT, there's a street dude that I could introduce you to, and he's right here on YouTube, and I think he'll definitely come up on your panel and speak because if he's seen the content of a lot of these fake street dudes and type of nonsense that they brag about, he'll laugh at them. Yeah, because let me say, live in New York City, and I've been around these types of individuals, and a lot of them, once they spend about a good 15 to 20 years in prison and come out, trust me, they are ashamed about their past. A lot of them, when they speak on their past, they will break down and cry because, when they get older, they understand the hell and the destruction that they have caused for an entire community. So when I see these fake street dudes on here, Mr. Catch a Flight and all these other damn clowns, and brag about what they supposedly had done, right, with their science fiction stories, I sit there and I'm like, you guys have no idea. You guys have no idea. Because if you was around real actual street dudes, they'll probably smack you across the face talking that nonsense, man. But when it comes to the topic, I'm sorry to sound long-winded, but when it comes to the topic of the quote unquote game and these game dudes, I'm to a point now where, these, in the manosphere, right? Especially these people who are watching videos in the manosphere, they've been watching videos for a long time about people telling you the types of females to avoid. So now if the viewing audience who are privy to this content are that dumb to go to these fake game guys and buy into their nonsense, then so be it. In that, I'm to a point where if someone is that stupid to buy into this hustle, then you know what? I want to see you fail. I want to see you be deceived and at the end of the day, look stupid. Because like the old saying goes, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And I want to see a person playing stupid games win stupid prizes. But you guys have the floor.
All right, well, Nikki Barnes? Do you guys remember Nikki Barnes up there in Harlem?
Of course, yeah. Nikki
Barnes, if you read his book, he talks about how he was getting the money he was getting when the dollar was strong. We're talking about before Nixon took America off the gold standard, before all the inflation of the 70s and 80s. Nikki Barnes turned state evidence. He became a snitch for the DA. His rival, Frank Lucas, also at the top of the food chain in drug dealing. Guess what? I think Frank Lucas just died a couple years ago penniless.
Yes.
And he snitched and turned state's evidence. And we're not talking about foot soldiers. They were the black kingpins in Harlem, coast to coast. 400 million per year for the last 50 years just in seizure. The drug game itself, I think, is like 12 billion a year. But the government takes back in these seizures of guys like Nikki and Frank Lucas, 400 million per year. So we're talking about 20 billion in asset forfeiture in the last 50 years. And with black men representing half of the prison population, so we can just say conservatively, black drug dealers and gangbangers have given back $10 billion to the state, the United States and the federal government, but no one brings this shit up. I don't get it, man.
Yeah. I want to welcome Ajiza to the. Is he still here? Did he cook?
No, I'm right here.
You still there? What's going on,
Right.
man? No, we're kind of sticking to the game dudes type of thing because I gotta get out here in 15 minutes. So, what you got, man?
No, I feel you. I just want to say one thing. I mean, I don't have much to speak on the narcotics aspects of the whole thing, but I just want to. I need to say this because as I've gotten older, I understand. I don't know what most of your followers or your audience, their age range, but I do understand that most young men in their 20s, yeah, their hormones are raging out of control. Everybody wants some type of a companionship. They want a girlfriend, but this thing about black men, and I don't think we're obsessed with sex any more than other races of males, but our reputation has to change with it because people like it, but then again, they can use it against us. I'll give you an example. In Houston, this guy, Deshaun Watson, with his situation that he has going on, he may be innocent. He very well may be innocent, but there is no reason why all those women should have had access to him. I mean, these are just lowly Instagram masseuse therapists. And I understand as a football player, it's like being in a car wreck. Every game they say is like being in a car accident. You need a massage, but I mean, all these people having your number, you're reaching out to them, get a massage, this and that. They can always use it against you. And now, who knows what's going to happen? The guy had this contract ever for a quarterback or for a player behind the guy with the Chiefs, and now it's all in jeopardy because of our reputation. People can easily say, okay, well, this is how black men are. I will say this. You know who was a notorious womanizer, but no one ever. There's no, I guess, no bad press about him. Was this guy with the New York Yankees, Derek Jeter? Everybody knew, that this guy. I mean, he had an apartment here in I'm in New York, here in Trump Tower. Everybody knew that this guy dated beautiful women, but nobody turns around to hood rats can't come. I've never heard any hood rat say, "Oh, I was with Derek Jeter, this and that," or bring something against him. All women only have good things to say about him. Yeah. Mariah Carey had no chance with him, but he's still a black man, but I don't think they see him as the same way they see someone like a Deshaun Watson, just because of the way we carry ourselves. And I think it's the way we carry ourselves and the reputation that we have. We have this reputation that sex is on our mind 24/7. And like I said, the women like it because it works to their advantage, but they can always use it against us. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Derek Jeter. So I'll say that, but it's really hurting. We gotta shake this reputation, and telling some young 20-year-old, hey man, you can't focus on that. I know it's hard. I know it's messed up, but with anything, we're at a deficit, and that's not something we can, like you said, like MOT said, women, it's a byproduct of productivity. It's not the end. It's not the end goal, and nobody wants to hear that at a young age, but. I mean, we just have to assess this is the situation we are in, and we have to deal with it accordingly.
Yeah, but Jesus, but you have to understand that they've been brainwashed and socialized into an improper end goal system to where not dealing with this stuff is deemed non-masculine, and actually dealing with it and facing the consequences is seen masculine. It's programming by the people who claim that they care more about the future. And they only want to clean up after the bad kids and not really the good ones.
But what do they have to show for it? Everybody says, what do they have to show for it?
Nothing. This is why I don't believe.
I mean, did you see how Black Rob died? I mean, this guy had a hit record in 2000. It's only 20 years. I mean, 52 years old is not that old.
Yeah.
The guy died.
And DMX isn't that old either. Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Well, DMX was a drug issue, but even at that, now those women are about to go fight over this guy's estate. And the record label, who knows what his business financials was like. I mean, but Black Rob was like literally just a couple days before his death. I mean, he was just so tired and messed up. Multiple kidney failure, end-stage renal disease, CAD, coronary artery disease.
Can I say something? Just sorry to interrupt. And on top of that, he died penniless without a roof over his head.
Without a roof over his head in Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were killing. I mean, child support. Child support was. I mean, he had done a radio interview a couple months earlier talking about how child support is fucking him up. I mean, it's ridiculous, this thing about our reputation. Because anytime one of these lowly ass women wants some sexual gratification, everybody knows. Well, I'll just go to a black man. I saw something today, the other day, that kind of like it really bothered me. I was talking on LT because I'm here in New York, and I was back in my old neighborhood. It was a Spanish neighborhood, west on the other side of the Hudson in Jersey, North Bergen. And, it was Latino girls walking around, and it was this young black kid he's driving a Veloster or whatever. But this dude was willing to hold up traffic just to try to wave at this girl. And like, she didn't even acknowledge this dude. Now, this is the problem. Like, because for him, it's a game of numbers. Yeah, he might win some, he'll lose some. All you got to do is get one. But the idea is that, hey, I have first right of refusal. I can ignore you, act like you don't even exist when I feel like it. And then when I feel like it, I need an itch scratch. I can say, I can acknowledge your sorry presence. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that we're just so used to this, like, someone can wholesale just ignore us, like it's like we're nothing.
We're not used to it. It's a choice when it looks like it's not choice. Let me get to make that dictionary. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining the panel.
What's up, bro? Yeah, glad to be here, man. Yeah,
the competition is about the game and the game dudes and the dudes who sell products and who don't. I think that most people who brag on the actual idea are suffering the most consequences and trying to kind of socialize everybody else to join their private ticket to hell. That's what I think about the situation. But you go ahead.
Oh yeah. It's about exploiting your own community and everyone else, your people, everybody. And you look at this, and these guys are just, like you said, they're into those 7 deadly sins. They can't control their lust, their greed, their sloth, their envy, their wrath. It's just, you could just go down the line and pick it through. And it's like they're doing part of the government's work. They're extracting the wealth from communities, and the government takes it back. Like I think somebody else said, they're pulling it back in. But, it's crazy because they did a statistic where, they have these undercovers buy drugs, and they don't bust people with this certain squad. They test for the purity of the drugs in the area. Because just like if you look back in history, the opium wars of China and many other countries, it's used to control the population. They're afraid of the geniuses coming forth, because if a genius is allowed to grow and be taken care of until he reaches maturity of a man, that is the most dangerous thing. So everything around us, the word entertainment, to entertain, to distract, to hold the attention of, and, just as bad as the drug dealers and other stuff is also the musicians, also the, look at, like y'all mentioned, Derek Jeter, Brilliant said Will Chamberlain was a womanizer as well. Yeah, you're right. It's easy to see the guy right there that's selling the product. That's the easy thing. So the hard thing is to see the guy that's buck dancing on the baseball field or the basketball court or the stage. And they're all meant to manipulate and destroy community. You know, when I thought about people telling me, oh, these guys open, you know, they got their own liquor and stuff like that. And I had mentioned once on my stream, like, well, what about, you know, a company to help people? Nothing like that, right? Nothing to make oh, he's a billionaire now. He's the first rap billionaire. But where is the car company? Where, you know, there was a car company called the Patterson Car Company. I think it was in the late 18 or early 1900s. And
it was in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, okay, so the early 1900s. And
he was actually competing with Henry Ford. Yeah. And then he branched into buses. He started making buses.
Yeah, you know, where are those things today? You know, all it is it's like it turned into American Idol. You know, I call it the American Idiot. People strive for that. They beg for that. They emigrate for that over here. And the people here support all of it. So
I'm just saying our obsession with the opposite sex.
Well, that also that's the small part of it. That's a small part of it. If a guy, because I deal directly with a lot of that on, you know, the guys I talk to. That's the small. When I look at what these guys go through, I say, God damn, this is what kind of brought me into the area, because I was saying, well, I didn't have that problem. Then I realized, like, wow, a lot of these guys, you know, yeah, sometimes it'll be a little harder, but I noticed that has a lot to do with location as well, but definitely, you know, looks and height, all of that plays an issue. The game changer that changes that is drugs. This is another thing that lures men to that, to sling and to do stuff, because you're going to get the baddest bitches. You know, and I tell guys, they don't understand. I said, listen, pretty hoes want to get high. That's just a fact. And another thing is, the pretty ones are 99% hookers. Whether you know, the whole movie Indecent Proposal was about that, to show you that the girl you think is your girl, if she gets offered that $1 million for a night, she's a hooker. Yeah, there's going to be exceptions.
But to be fair to her, though, it was actually her husband that pimped her out, though.
But that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood. That's Hollywood saying, you know what, let's do this in the script so we don't get too much repercussion.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be the exception to the rule. Some women, you know, that's not the rule, though. That's the exception. Where they know, okay, I don't want that. The majority, shit, they're hunting for that. And the dudes, it's the dude's fault. You know, what's that saying? He who will be deceived, let him. If you want to be a stupid motherfucker, and stupid motherfuckers, I think MOT and I talked about that. They are multiplying. They are the majority, and they probably always will be the majority. The shit that we have when guys come together and talk about some real stuff, that's what all of this is about. To get rid of those what did they do to motherfuckers that were smart back in the days? They killed them. Chris Rock said it best. You got to say it in comedy, because who is the only one that could criticize the king without getting his head chopped off? The jester, the clown, because, oh yeah, he's just crazy, man. But he's the only one that could tell the truth. Only one. He like, yeah, you know, motherfuckers that could read, when they said you couldn't read, those motherfuckers got killed. The majority of people that got lynched were what? They weren't just buck dancers and biscuit bakers. They were business owners. If you look back at that, the majority of motherfuckers that got lynched was business owners. That shit fucking shocked people.
You know some MGTOW that I've been thinking about when I listen to MOT and you guys had these conversations, and I see this divergence in these two groups that exist here in this Black YouTube thing. I'm starting to think that a test would be to see, of the game versus non-game dudes, how much success and what your track record was before you ever came to the social media thing. Because I think that would kind of clear up a lot of stuff, is to see how much success have brothers had in the real world, minus this social media thing, versus how much of their success is dependent on this social media thing. So that's why, you know, for certain guys, if they're just, you know, a regular everyday guy, making it in America, makes his money off of a job or whatever he's doing, versus those that their whole existence is dependent upon keeping things the way that they are without any change and being able to sell a message without actually living that sermon. So we talk about the preacher thing, and that's going on here. But I would just really be curious to see how many of these guys that were game dudes that were like clinical psychologists before they came online, or doctors or lawyers or successful accountants. And I think that would kind of answer a lot of the questions that I think guys that come from those traditional kind of backgrounds are asking, because they're like, okay, at what point do you have a little bit of integrity about what you're doing? And I think a lot of it has to do with that, if you look at it from the standpoint of someone that had no success in life prior to being introduced to the internet, then you can imagine that they're going to cling to whatever the message is, whether it's true, false, or whatever, because their livelihood depends on it. Otherwise, they don't even really exist outside of that message.
I think MOT had said it best, and it was an old saying that, you can't expect a man to understand because his salary depends on him not understanding. So that's one part of it. But social media was invented by recluses, by a group of very outcasted individuals that had some serious mental problems, and it was created on a network type of model, as opposed to the curator style. Now, one of the 100 guys, I think it was, that helped start Wikipedia, he was saying that I think he's a psychologist. He said that when they switched Wikipedia to the network style, first I think it was 70,000 editors. Then it turned into 3 million, and it turned into a cesspool. And then they switched it back, and it dropped down to 300,000, 10 times less than what it was. When you work with a network style, which is, it conditions you to turn in, if you're weak-minded, which the majority will be, turned into some sort of circus animal that will sit there like a seal doing tricks for a piece of fish. And this is what you see with these guys. Now, this is something that's psychologically conditioning people. It's like a type of psychological engineering that people don't even know what's happening. When a person can't go without his phone, would have his phone on him. I leave my phone in my car. I try not to travel. The phone is your personal surveillance device. With the shit that I talk about, when I have shit linked up, I'll notice on YouTube stuff that I talk about recommended. I know for a fact the phone is taking keywords and giving you suggestions. I noticed this back in 2004 when I had a computer and I was practicing other languages, and I started receiving emails in those languages. People thought I was crazy. I was like, man, I said, this computer is hearing everything I say. And, oh, you paranoid. No, I'm not paranoid. Hey, what? It was the paranoid Jews that left Germany. So don't think paranoid is being crazy. Sometimes it save your ass. So when I look at the social media model, social media now, and I can't say it's just because some of us are older, maybe you have some type of immunity, because I think it really has more to do with thinking, because you got a lot of old idiots as well. You got a lot of young, smart people. So really, I shouldn't even say a lot. It's far and few. And one thing the internet has allowed us to do is to meet up. When you look at the small amount of us that talk about conscious shit on the internet compared to the oceans of ignorance, again, it should give us an indicator. Like I've said it to where it's akin to the scenario in like a zombie movie. It's like we an invasion of the body snatchers, and everybody done fell asleep. And it's funny how that movie gave the analogy of if you fall asleep, now the real you is done. It fades away and you become this automaton. And what are we seeing? More and more. The way I look at people, I say, God damn, it's like, how do you let yourself degrade into that? While I'm saying, damn, I got to be careful that I don't give into this. But it's the majority of it. It's, the thinking man is those groups are getting smaller and smaller. The one good thing, it allows people to meet each other and say, okay, we're not going to agree on everything. And that's good because it shows that we're thinking for ourselves. When people, they work in this network model, and this is why you see these guys that sell game, that run game, that just do this circus act, and you see these hordes of people that follow them. The fact that you could sell stupid shit and lies more than anything that's truthful and knowledge, that's another indicator. So just looking at those things, you start to say, man, the computer was a trap in a way if you don't use it for learning. It's like a spoon. If you don't use a spoon to eat, what is it then? It's a weapon. You can spoon somebody's eye out with the shit, sharpen it into a shank, whatever. You have to use it for the purpose of education, like the TV or whatever. And this social media thing, since it went mobile, it has become an animal that's uncontrollable. Everything is surveillance. I remember MySpace, 04, 05, 06. Facebook is basically, if the cops sat somebody down and told you, look, tell me about everybody you know, your close friends, the normal person will be like, nah, or they'll lie. Facebook, have you given that shit up happily? Secrets that you would never say, oh yeah, this and that, and this is my brother, and these are my families, and hey, guess what? Let me talk on this and give my conversations and shit like that. We're in so far, it's way past neck deep. This boiling water, submerged type of shit. That's how bad the shit is. And the crazy thing is, we just starting to realize, we're like, whoa, what is going on?
Yeah, we gotta leave it there, man, because I gotta get out of here. I gotta go somewhere else, man. So I want to thank everybody for coming on. I want to thank all the panelists, King Sigma, Game Changer, Jesus, Like a Word of O, and MGTOW Dictionary for coming on, man. Really appreciate y'all coming through, but we need to make sure that the people who want to fall prey to this stuff are obviously going to. We need to stop the new individuals that don't belong anywhere near this stuff to actually be informed about what is actually going on. Because a lot of people don't understand it, that they're trying to sell you a ticket to their private hell. They're actually not doing you a favor. People like this don't do you favors, man. And until it's being deemed illegal for you to sell a product like this, it's always going to be a problem. Because productive men is the enemy. Men who don't want to deal with this marketplace is also the enemy. So you got any quick last words, MGTOW Dictionary, and I'm gonna go to Wacky Word of O with Jesus, their game changer.
You're absolutely right, man. I agree, brother. Definitely. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming on. Wacky Word of O. Quick words from me.
Okay. One thing I want to say is that, and I'm gonna be real quick, I don't get the whole big deal about people want to rely on game dudes, or they make this narrative talking about how hard it is to get a female, because it's not that hard to get lucky with a female, especially in Black America. All you got to do is be a buffoon. That's it, be a buffoon, speak the most substandard type of English you could speak and sound like a damn slave from 1852 or some shit. Make sure you have your draw showing and act as dumb as possible, and you'll attract a lot of females. Just be an idiot, be a buffoon. It's not hard, but it goes down to this. Is your integrity that low that you're willing to look like a fool just to attract low quality, high mileage vagina? All right. So with that, you guys have a great night. Shalom.
All right, cool, man. Thanks for coming on. Jesus.
Yeah, I just want to say, look, brothers, we got to change the narrative. Like I was telling MOT, it's not that hard to get into the quote unquote middle class. Now, getting into the upper class, getting into that top 5%, you're going to have to put in some work. But just to be productive enough to get into the middle class, it's not that difficult, especially compared to what everybody else is doing. I'm tired of being the only brother in the room. We need to get some more people in here. But we gotta get this trash off our mind and change the narrative. That's all I gotta say.
All right, cool. Game changer.
Yeah, MOT, just thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you letting me talk on the topic.
All right, no problem. I want to thank everybody for coming through the Man Tomorrow. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm not sure why all my notification ain't going out. I should have far more people in here, but it's the way it is for right now until the attorney gets back to me about what's going on with these notifications. So like the video if you already haven't, and if you listen to the video on the live playback, make sure you like the video as well. You guys are